have been vandalized. The streets are strewn with trash, but the biggest insult is here in Lafayette Park with General Lafayette. The Palestinian flag was raised and it still remains. And they have this Free Palestinian graffiti. They have it here. The General Lafayette and his compatriots, Free Palestine, they have raised the Palestinian flag on the grounds of the White House at Lafayette Park. And walk around with me, look at this. I've never been so outraged. They've raised the Palestinian flag. And more graffiti, look at this. Free Palestine, you see this? Free Palestine. And look at this sign, Decolonize Palestine, decolonize the United States. Workers' World Party. It is unreal. I hate it to even touch it. This is what we've become. How can we allow this? How could the law enforcement watch for somebody to raise the Palestinian flag on the ground of the people's house, and we got to pay for this clean?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you have a great and wonderful day. And it seems that you can see from the video there that we have some insurrectionists. We have people that are trying to take over our country, putting flags on our monuments. And we have some fools that are even going as far as to say as, oh, this is not an insurrection. Well, may I take you to believe you? We're going to go over a few things. What's an insurrection? And, what these people are actually doing to our beloved and faithful country, because it's not like we are not being invaded. Because, of course, normal people will go plant their flag on a foreign country because that makes sense to someone. Maybe we should start blaming Joe Biden and all the fellow Democrats that are supporting all this type of stuff. So, we're going to have this little clip here showing exactly like, oh, this is not an insurrection. This is not what happened. Well, what do you think this is then?
Seems much more focused on January 6th than it does on October 7th. Throughout its pages, Marjorie Taylor Greene describes this act of civil disobedience from a bunch of left-wing Jewish groups that are critical of Israel's government, this act as an insurrection. This is not an insurrection. It might be a bunch of folks with whom you disagree. It might be a bunch of people you think are misguided, acting in a way you don't like. But this is not an insurrection.
So now we have this, where we have an insurrection. Now see, now let's talk about this. Now, if you guys don't think that's an insurrection, okay, that's fine. We have a little bit more stuff here. I'm going to go over the depths of his insurrection and stuff like that. Because even on this site, they're showing, oh, what is the insurrection that happened on January 6th? Well, if they're going to call that an insurrection, then we have a lot of things here. So we have this. Insurrection, an organized and usually violent act of revolt. Now, here's a question, here's the main thing we have to go over here. Usually violent, but does not necessarily have to always be violent. So usually violent, but it's not always violent. And an organized and usually violent act of revolt or rebellion against an established government or governing authority of a nation state, or rather political entity, by a group of its citizens or subjects. Also, any act of engaging in such a revolt. An insurrection may facilitate or bring about a revolution, which is a radical change in the form of government or political system of a state. And it may be initiated or provoked by an act of sedition, which is an incitement to revolt or rebellion. And this is what an insurrection would be, right? This is what we would define as an insurrection. So notice here, if we look at
the January
this here,
6th attack.
The January 6th is full of American flags, and usually by groups of citizens and stuff like that. And that's what we would call an insurrection. Okay, maybe if we want to call that an insurrection where it was, it was violent or what have you, or whatever, then okay. But if we're going to call the January 6th an insurrection, which very likely could be for all we know, which in reality I don't think it was, we had some bad actors in January 6th, obviously, and they should be arrested and put into jail, as they should. But, of course, that's not what's always happening here. We have more that's to this tale. And what I mean more to this tale is that here's all the things that these guys are doing that are putting up flags onto our statues and being kind of a little bit violent and stuff like that. Take a look.
Fucking coward!
Palestine with genocide!
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Allahu akbar! Allahu akbar! Allahu akbar!
Shine! Loser! Shine! 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 You feel better? Shine! 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 Shine!
Pussy.
Shine!
Yo, you're a pussy.
You feel better? You feel better? You feel like a big man? Who pays your salary? You feel better? Alright. Shame on you!
Fuck you,
Shame on you!
So, you know, I got the video, but I was
How dare you wear that fucking vest?
explain the action. Not that I don't know it.
Protect who? America wants Palestine free! What the fuck you mean? America wants Palestine free! America don't stand with Israel, bitch!
Yo,
Fucking punks!
forget about them in history. That seems very silly to me. I think this is really important, and I think it's
Now, the last time I checked, the pretty much January 6th was about 80 to 90% of this, which you had about few others that were not like this. They were not doing this type of stuff. They were causing damage and stuff like that, so that should not be agreed. Now, the only difference is that these people were not necessarily let in during the White House, or anything of that matter, and this happened at night, which normally is what most nefariety and dangerous acts happen at. And here's another thing. These are other countries' flags. These are not even our civilians. So, what would we call this if this is not even the civilians doing this, and they have other flags being put onto our country? It's really odd that this is going on. And we have this. Historic monuments in Washington, D.C. were vandalized and desecrated by pro-Palestinian protesters today. Now, this was on November 4th, so obviously I was not doing this type of stuff when this was released, but we have this here. So, here's what we have. Notice the one thing they said, there's something about fascism, right? Whereas they're putting jihad and a lot of Palestinian stuff onto our statues. Last time I checked, this would be considered an invasion because we don't put flags in other countries that doesn't symbolize or have anything to do with our country. We have people saying free Palestine onto our monuments, onto our national monuments, putting stuff like this onto our statues that we held great dear because they were things that that symbolized America, and they're putting flags on there for what reason? So maybe this is not an insurrection. Maybe this is just a clear invasion of our country, and we should probably fix this. This is something that I think the Democratic Party needs to start addressing here, because this is not something that is small. This is not something that is anything of the sort short of a huge issue. And I would deem to say that this is something that needs to be addressed immediately. There's still more stuff here I want to show you all, which I shall, because it goes into a great thing here that makes a lot of sense. Take a look at this.
Fucking coward!
Allahu akbar! Allahu akbar!
Well, now, liberals, far leftists, you have this now. You have where you have people saying, fuck Joe Biden. Now, are you really going to stand and let this go by? Are you really going to have this type of thing where they're insulting your president? It's really weird on why you're letting this happen. So, I think that we're seeing a crossroads here. I think where people are going to end up waking up to this, where we're going to just start labeling this as an invasion, because we have people are desecrating our monuments, putting other country flags into our own country, and why are these people here? I want these people deported. I want these people to be locked up. I want these people to be arrested. They do not have the right to desecrate our country, to desecrate our monuments, and to possibly cause an insurrection within our own country, because as we know, as we've seen here from the obvious, this here as, being it, usually violent. So that means it's not always violent. So if it's not always violent, they're going to be causing an insurrection. And if it was very eerily similar to the dreadful insurrection of January 6th, then why don't we just add the fact that that this is the same thing here. This is the same type of level of insurrection that we would call these people. I would call this practically an invasion, because they're just putting other flags onto our soil, which should not be allowed at any great stretch measure. At least not on federal property, alright? That's what I say. Or public property, for that matter. It should not really be allowed to put these things onto our country. Now, of course, if you want to put your own flag on your private property or whatever, or that's not federal, by all means, go ahead and do it. That's fine. But when you start putting your flag on public property or even government property that is from another country, well, maybe we might instigate as an invasion. Maybe we should just start thinking that this is not okay. And I'm getting sick and tired of this being allowed in our country. I do not want this in our country, and I would like our country to be just an American country to where it's very diverse, but we don't have lunatics such as these people doing it. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, take care.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted. This is algorithmic disease, the social media.